Okay, we have a lot of milk because Anne is a heavy milker and we can't give her babies her milk. So right now I am taking a very small ladle and taking the cream off the top of the jar. I've gotten most of this one. You can see the little bit of separation. So this is one I've already done. So you don't really see separation there. This one, it looks like I pretty much got it. You can see there's a little bit right there. So where you see the line is where the cream is. And so I'm pulling out this cream and I'm actually going to make butter. Now I'm on my last 2 jars. And this one, you can see the separation a lot better. So this is the layer of cream right here. Alright, so now I have the cream in this little jar, and I did, let's see, 5 jars. These 2, they got left in the freezer too long when they were cooling down, so they're still frozen because one of them I forgot it overnight. Yeah, so this is how much, I mean, granted not all of this is cream. It's really hard to get just the cream without getting any milk in there. But it's super easy. We're just going to take that, you stick it in the blender. It's been a really long time since I've made fresh butter. It's actually since I was a teenager. My grandpa used to get raw cow's milk from the dairy down the street, and we would make butter this way. So we just stick it in the blender. You'll kind of know when it's done because the sound will change. And then you take the butter out, skim the butter off the top of it, then you wash the butter and then add your salt, and then it's ready to go. But I'll show you guys. I'm not going to do it tonight because it's pretty late and I don't want to get the blender out. So I'll do that in the morning and we'll be back and I'll show you then. Days I'll remember to show you me straining the milk. So this bucket we use for Anne because it's very different from this bucket. Granted, now we have a milk machine, but we still use this bucket to put the milk from there into here, into the bottles for the babies, because right now we only have enough milk for our babies, with the exception of Anne's milk. So once this has milk in it, then we pull out a mason jar that has been sitting in the, a half-gallon mason jar that's been sitting in the freezer, and then we have this strainer here. It's stainless steel. And you can see I've got in there a filter. So I got these reusable filters. I got this on Amazon. It wasn't very cheap. The filters were pretty cheap though. And it's a box, I think like 300. I will link it in the description below. With when you buy the filter the first time, it comes with the strainer comes with the little disposable filters. So yeah, we put that through, and then once we have the mason jar full, or once we empty the bucket into the half-gallon mason jar, then we stick it into the freezer and set a timer for 45 minutes without a lid on it, so that way the steam can exit out. And then we put a label on it, which, as you can see, we have these white reusables, and then we take a Sharpie, well, not a Sharpie, dry erase marker, and we write the date on it, and then if it's AM or PM, which this one is faded, but it's 4:30 PM. So April 30th PM milk. And I also got these Sharpies on Amazon, and so they have magnets, so you can do different colors. I usually just grab the closest one to me. So these are half-gallon mason jars. I believe I bought these all from Walmart. It was a box of 6. I think that was the cheapest place I found them. Also, the white lids I got from Walmart. They were the least expensive place that I could find them, because you know me, I'm a Jew, I shop around. But yeah, most of our stuff we get online. But yeah, some things like this I wasn't able to find a comparable price. Oh, there's my timer and my milk's done. So we're going to come over here. I'm going to grab a lid. Now we come to the freezer where it is cooling. This is milk from last year that we left frozen to make things like soap. All right, so now the milk is properly cooled. Oh, she didn't give me very much last night or tonight. Part of that is too, she has had mastitis on one side of her udder, and so it is a lot smaller than the other side now. So we haven't been milking out the other side completely, trying to get it evened out. We'll see if it works. All right, so now I've got marked 5-6 p.m. milking, which really I could go put this in with the a.m. milking since there's not very much in it. And then we just go stick it in our fridge. And now it is ready to either be drank or turned into something else. Release the pressure. Turn on the nozzle, release the pressure. And now we dip her. And then the release. We are done milking, so we have to turn off the pump. And then we have to release the vacuum pressure by opening up one of these valves. Or two to make it go faster. And then we can pull the lid right off. And now fill the bottles. Yeah. Okay, so you want to see this. So now we're going to fill up this container. Fill up our bottles for our very hungry babies. So I always put the lid underneath too to catch any that spills so that it can be put back into a bottle, because this isn't always this messy thing. Right, we are ready to make butter. We have our cream, we have our blender. Okay, you ready to make some butter? Okay, so take off the lid. Now pour the contents into the blender. Grab a spatula and scrape it out. Yeah, we don't have a ton of it, so you want to get every last piece. And you can see some of it's more runny because they're, you know, obviously using the ladle. Ladle doesn't completely separate it out, so there's some milk in there too. I have really bad dexterity. And then we have a couple of more jars in the fridge that we're going to pull the cream off of before we start this. So we'll be back once we get those all in the blender. See if you guys can see this. You can see right there the separation between the cream and the milk. It's really not that big of a deal if you get a little bit of milk in there. See if I can focus in on this. So now they do make cream separators. I think I may have mentioned that before. That you can get like on Amazon, but that you can dump all your milk in and separate all of the cream versus having to wait at least a day for it to separate. But, you know, This works too. And then you have skim milk. And also, so when this butter, we put it in once the blender started. So what'll happen is it'll turn into whipped cream first, and then it'll separate into butter. So you can use this to make whipped cream, do the same thing to make whipped cream. You just, obviously stop when it's fluffy versus waiting for it to separate into butter. And then obviously after we take the butter out, then we'll have buttermilk also. All right, now we've got the last bit of cream off. So we're gonna just go ahead and start the blender. We're gonna do whip blend. So once you notice that the blender sounds a little bit different while it's mixing, then you can go ahead and take a look. You can see here, it's still more of a whipped cream consistency, but you can see that there are some chunks starting to form. That is the butter. So we are pretty close to having our butter. It just took a couple of minutes. Go ahead and start this again. So you'll notice in your blender, you'll start to see it get very liquid toward the bottom. Oh, jeez, I just made a mess. And then all this chunky bit, that is our butter. So I think I'll let this run for just a couple more minutes just to be sure we've got it all out there, but it looks like we've got it all. So you'll see the separation here. There's some chunks here. Okay, so now you can see there's a separation right here. So this is all of our butter, and then this is all of our buttermilk. So you can see from all of the amount in there, it is a very small amount of butter. So you have to have quite a bit. I think we did, all right, let's see, we have 3, 6, 7, 8. So out of 8 half-gallon mason jars, which as you can see, most of them are not super full, that's how much cream we got out. So now we are going to remove the butter from here. And then we're going to put it in this container, and then we have to wash it and then salt it. Look at all of that butter. Okay, so now you're going to take a container and a spoon, and then you're going to take the spoon and pull all of the chunky bits out and put them in the container. Like that? Mm-hmm. And you want to try to leave behind as little milk as possible. I'm going to just get the chunky pieces into the container. If you get a little bit in there, it's not a huge deal because you're going to wash it anyway, and it just means it'll take you longer to wash it. And you don't have to worry about getting out every single last chunk because, that's part of buttermilk, is it's got chunks of butter in it. Unless you don't plan on keeping the buttermilk, then you could always put this through a strainer, and that way you get every single last piece of butter. Okay, now you're going to take your container over to the sink, turn on the cold water, and then first you're going to take the back of the spoon and smash that all the way down. I'm going to smash it all the way down and get all that excess milk out of there. We'll pour that back into this jar. We're going to make some buttermilk biscuits. So I don't actually need the water just yet. You want to get as much milk out as possible before you move on to the washing stage. That's some good looking butter already. So now just put a little bit of water in it, maybe a little bit more, and kind of swirl it around, and then do the same thing, push on it to help pull out all the rest of that milk. And then also the cold water helps it set up a little bit more too. And once you've gone through all sides, then you're just going to dump that into the sink. And then you're going to repeat this a couple more times until the water looks fairly clear. So this is number 3, and you can see the water is a lot more clear at this point. So we'll probably just have to do it one more time, and then it'll be good to be salted and then put in the fridge. Okay, and then you'll start to feel that it gets a lot harder as well. And so then you know you're pretty close. Now the water's even less cloudy. Might need to do one more time. So this is what, number 3? 4? Number 4? I think this will be our last rinse. It's starting to form up really well. Yeah, the water's staying pretty clear. And so now we turn off the sink, push all the water out like when we first started, and then we'll add our salt. So we're going to do some pink Himalayan salt, just a couple of grinds, that's probably good, and then stir it in. And then you can either serve it on something now or just stick it in the fridge and use it when you're ready. Of course, we're going to put a lid on it too. But yeah, so now you'll see it's nice and thick. You should pick the whole thing up with the spoon. Perfect. Nice, creamy, yummy goat milk butter. Alright, so now we have our creamy butter. You can see how much is in this container, and our buttermilk in this small mason jar. Now I'm going to take this buttermilk and make buttermilk biscuits. Maggie, you're so smart, but I don't know what you're going to do once you get big. She just climbs in there every time, underneath. Thanks for watching.